Hi, I'm Marianne, otherwise known as www.italianwifey on Instagram. Welcome to my kitchen. Now, if you follow me on Instagram, you may have noticed I had a name change. Just like Weight Watchers rebranded to WW, I rebranded my name to better reflect WW and also who I am. I'm a proud Italian American, 100% Italian. All my grandparents are from Italy, and I'm a wife. I think my new name better describes who I am. So let's get started with what I'm going to make for you tonight. I am making Italian calzones. Now the calzones are a pocket-like sandwich. If you don't know what it is, it's handheld or cut if you put a lot of gooey ingredients in it. And tonight I'm doing meatballs and marinara sauce. So the basis is the 2-ingredient dough. That is going to house all the filling. The 2-ingredient dough is equal parts of non-fat Greek yogurt and also some self-rising flour. Because I'm making a savory dinner with the dough, I'm going to add some Italian seasoning right into the dough when I need it. So, as I said, you need equal parts of the yogurt and the flour, and I'm going to be measuring out 1 cup of each because I'm going to split that dough for 2 calzones. So that means it'll be a half a cup of each of those ingredients for myself, which means I will be counting 5 smart points for the dough. Now inside the dough, I'm going to be using some leftovers from last night's dinner. I made Trader Joe's cauliflower gnocchi, and I used some marinara sauce, or as I call it, gravy, and some chicken meatballs to go along with that. So I'm going to be using that for the filling. Now if you haven't heard of the skinniest dish, she used to be the Daily Dose of Pepper. She makes a crock pot marinara that is the bomb. It's very thick, it cooks all day, it's delicious. And I use her gravy or marinara sauce for a lot of things. I can make an arrabbiata sauce by adding some extra ground, crushed red pepper, I should say. I can make a puttanesca by adding some capers and olives and a little anchovy paste. And I can make a vodka sauce by adding a little vodka and a little almond milk. So that her gravy or marinara sauce has many possibilities. So last night I just used it plain as I made it, and I added the chicken meatballs. Now her marinara sauce is 0 smart points. The chicken meatballs are by Al Fresco, and they are 1 point per meatball because they're chicken. So I figure I'm going to be using 3 meatballs per calzone. So let's add this up. I have half a cup of the dough, which will be 5 smart points. I have the marinara sauce, which will be 0 smart points. And then I'm going to use 3 chicken meatballs, which are 3 smart points. So right now, 1 calzone is 8 smart points for me. But you know what? I have to have cheese. So I went ahead and measured out 3 ounces of fat-free Kraft cheese using my Weight Watcher scale. I love weighing everything out because then I know exactly what I'm using. I like using ounces more than cups because sometimes you get a little more, and you'll see if you measure out your ingredients. So the fat-free Kraft mozzarella cheese is going to be an additional point for that 1.5 ounces. So right now, the calzone for dinner will be 9 smart points. So let's get started with measuring the ingredients, putting in the bowl, and making the dough. So as I said, I am going to measure a cup of the yogurt and a cup of the self-rising flour. Okay, there's a cup of yogurt, and that's going to go right into my bowl. I'm using a small bowl tonight because I'm only making 2 calzones. Usually when I make pizza, I use a bigger mixing bowl. Okay, so that is my yogurt, and now I'm going to measure out my self-rising flour. And since I used a cup measure for the yogurt, I'm going to go ahead and use a half a cup for the flour and measure out my cup of flour that way, since that other cup is dirty. Okay, so there is a cup of each ingredient in there. Next, I'm going to add some Italian seasonings. Now, I keep all my spices in these great little containers, and I labeled them that I found at Menards. It keeps my cabinet organized, and I love it. So I'm just going to put in maybe a tablespoon of Italian seasoning into my bowl. So there it is. Next, I'm gonna start mixing it very gently so the flour doesn't go all over the place, and get the flour mostly incorporated into the yogurt before I turn it out onto the surface to go ahead and knead it. Okay, the two ingredients are mainly incorporated, so now it's time to go ahead and turn it out onto a surface and knead it. Now, my husband bought me this great silicone mat on Amazon. It's huge, as you can see. It's 26 inches long, and it is, oh, I don't know how many inches, 18. So it's 26 by 18. It keeps my counters clean. It's easy cleanup, so I love it. So now I'm just taking a little self-rising flour and putting it on my mat, and then, oops, taking off my ring before I knead. Okay, now I'm going to turn the dough onto my surface and get everything out of the bowl. And clean off my spatula and my finger. I try to keep one hand pretty clean until I start kneading, so I can go ahead and grab more flour. So this hand I'm keeping a little bit clean so I can just sprinkle a little flour on top. Okay, and then get a little flour in your hands and then start kneading. Now, this dough is sticky. I'm sure you've worked with 2-ingredient dough before, and it sticks until you knead it into a smooth ball. So I'm gonna get a little more flour, and hopefully I didn't get dough into my container there. But now it's kneading very nicely, and my fingers aren't sticking as much, and it's coming together into a nice smooth ball. Okay, so it's a nice, smooth, beautiful ball. So if you want less dough, you can make a 1/2 cup of the yogurt and 1/2 cup of the self-rising flours and get 2 smaller calzones. But since it's dinner and I left a lot of points for dinner, I am going ahead and using a lot of dough for my calzone. So you can certainly make one less in points than the 9 points that I have, or the, yes, 9 points. So, all right, now I'm gonna go ahead and split my dough in half. And then roll it out. So these will be 2 calzones. A little more flour on my surface. And now I'm going to roll this one out. If you don't have a rolling pin, you can even use your hand, and see how I'm just patting it out into a circle? You can do it that way as well. Put a little flour on there, but I'm gonna go ahead and use my rolling pin and get it into a little bit of a bigger circle. And as you roll out, you're gonna want to move your dough around and add more flour so it doesn't stick. Let me move this bowl. Now, I hope you can see the dough has the Italian seasoning in it. It's flecked with the green herbs, and that will add flavor to the dough. I'm not gonna flavor the inside because the marinara sauce that I use from the Skinny-ish dish already has onion and garlic and some seasoning in there. Okay, so this is a pretty good size. I'd say it's about 10 to 12 inches. It doesn't have to be a perfect circle. So you can go ahead and put that to the side. I'm just gonna fold it over and start on my second calzone and get that rolled out into a circle. Okay, my second dough is rolled out. I'm ready to make my calzones. So let me just put a couple things to the side here. And, oops, it's stuck a little. There we go. Oh no, it is still sticking. There we go. And move that over. I'm gonna unfold my second one. So there is the 2 ingredient dough ready for calzones. Again, this is a 1/2 cup each, so that'll be 5 smart points. Now, you want to get everything prepared before you do this. So you're going to want to grab a cookie sheet, and again, I have another silicone mat on the cookie sheet because once you make the calzones, you're going to want to pop that on there. My oven is heating up. It's 375 for the oven temperature. Okay, these are ready to go. So what I'm going to do is when I make these, I'm going to only use half of the calzone to put the ingredients, or half the dough, because I'm going to fold it over and make a little pouch or pocket, which will be the calzone. Let me grab a spatula. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and put some of the marinara sauce, and you can be generous because this is 0 smart points. And you can see there's chunks in the gravy, or marinara sauce, excuse me. Well, you'll know gravy and marinara sauce are one and the same, so I'm gonna stop correcting myself. But there's onion and some garlic. So I'm gonna be pretty generous on that. And I'm not coming all the way to the edge because I'm going to fold that over, and I want some dough without the gravy so I can go ahead and pinch it together. So this is a nice big chunk of tomato. This smells wonderful. Okay, a little bit more. Okay, I think that's good. Oh, not as even as the other side. There we go. Okay, I don't want to put a lot of gravy in here because I don't want it to ooze out, you know, onto the cookie sheet. It's more for flavoring, and this is so jam-packed with herbs and flavor that you only need a little. So again, this is 3 ounces of fat-free mozzarella, and I'm gonna go ahead and spread half of it on one and half on the other. So I measured this out, so I know that this is only 1 smart point. Fat-free cheese has come a long way. It never used to melt, but Kraft cheese does melt. Okay, so the cheese is on each calzone. Next, I'm gonna go ahead and get the meatballs and put them on the calzone. So I have my meatballs, and I'm going to put 3 meatballs in each calzone. I think 3. So I have a little cutting board. I'm going to slice them up to put them in. I'm using my Weight Watcher knife, which I love these Weight Watcher knives. You can buy them on the online store. So I'm just gonna go ahead and slice these up carefully. Looks like I'm cutting my finger, doesn't it? But I'm not. I just want it to be a little bit flatter than a ball, and to spread it out, it's nice to have it in slices. Okay, 1 more. Now maybe I will put another meatball in my husband's. Let me see. So this is 3 meatballs sliced up, and I'm just going to place them on the gravy and the cheese. Okay, I am going to do another meatball for my husband. Make his a little bit heartier. There we go. So this one will be my husband's, and I'll have to remember it once I close them up and do something so I remember which is which. Get that extra sauce. And then take 3 more meatballs and slice them up for the other calzone, which will be mine. Okay, and this one will be my calzone because I'm only using the 3 meatballs. Let me get the extra gravy. Okay, let me set that aside. So now this is ready to fold over. This one's going to be mine. So I want it to be sealed. So you can go ahead and wet the edges and seal them, but what I like to do is roll them over. So I'm going to roll and pinch and just go ahead and go around the whole calzone and do that on both of them. My oven is preheated. Look how large these calzones are. It makes a great meal. Usually Friday night is, today's Friday, and usually Friday night is pizza night, but I thought instead of pizza, I'm going to do calzones. Now this one got a little messy because I just tore it with my nail, but that's okay. So everything is sealed. Now what I'm going to do is go ahead and move them onto my cookie sheet. And I think I can do this without a spatula. Let me check it out. Ooh, this is heavy. There we go, got it on. Okay, I'll do that for the second one. You have to be very careful because the dough tears easily. And as you saw, it already tore this one, which is my husband's. So now I'll know which one is his, the one with the gravy on the outside. Perfect. Didn't do that intentionally, but it helps me now identify it. Okay, so here are the calzones on my cookie sheet. And I'm just going to clean this up so I can go on to the next step. Okay, once you have the calzones formed, filled, and in little pockets, I like to do an egg wash. So I'm just going to take an egg and break it into a little bowl, and I'm going to take a whisk and just whisk it until it's together like a scrambled egg. And then I need to get a brush. And then I'm gonna go ahead and brush it on. Now look at, I'm such a piglet. I drop everything when I cook, but that's okay. Just means I have to clean up more. Okay, that was a big piece of egg that went on there. And you're just going to brush it on so it becomes golden brown. Now I think I might even add, oh, my dog is playing with this toy. That's the squeak in the background. I think I'm going to add some Parmesan on the top, so that is going to be an extra point. I have some shaved Parmesan I measured for a point, so we'll see how that, if I use the whole thing or not. Okay, there's the calzones. Just wipe my hands, and I measured out some Parmesan cheese, so I'm just gonna put a few shavings on the top for an extra point. So now this is going to be 10 points. 5 for the dough, 3 for the meatballs, that's 8, 0 for the gravy, 1 for the fat-free mozzarella, spreading this evenly, and Now one for the shaved Parmesan cheese. I haven't done it with cheese on the top before, so I hope this works, but I love cheese. Okay. So these calzones are ready. The oven is preheated. I'm going to stick these in the oven. I'm going to check them in about 15 minutes and see how we're doing on time. My calzones are in the oven baking, and while they're baking, I took the opportunity to go ahead and clean up my kitchen and get everything washed. So I'm one of those cooks that needs to clean up as I go. I don't like the big mess at the end. And I wanted to take the opportunity while I have a few minutes left while the calzones are baking to tell you about the Skinnish Dish Crock-Pot Marinara Sauce. Her gravy is the bomb. So it's a big crock pot that you cook for 8.5 hours, and I get about 3 to 4 gallon size bags of gravy from it. So I have gravy on hand in the freezer all the time. So you only have to make it every now and then because it lasts forever. So I took a gallon size bag out yesterday. I made dinner last night. I'm making dinner tonight, and I have some gravy or marinara sauce left over. So I put it in a quart size bag. I said 0 smart points and pizza because I'm going to use what's left over for pizza sauce, and that'll be 0 smart points on a 2-ingredient dough pizza. So look up the Skinnish Dish Instagram or Google her. You won't regret making this marinara sauce. If this Italian wifey likes her gravy, I think you will too. The calzones are finished. They came out of the oven looking delicious. They're golden brown. Look at the size of these. They're huge. So I wanted to tell you, I started these at 15 minutes, remember? But they weren't done. So these took about 25 to 30 minutes to get golden brown and cook the dough. So I would go ahead and pop them into a 375-degree oven for 20 minutes to start with, and then check them after that. 15 was a little too little of time. So I'm going to turn the camera around so you can see the calzones. Look at how gorgeous my calzones are. Here's my hand. Look at how big they are. They're huge. So this is dinner. Actually, you could probably cut one in half and serve 4, but because I'm hungry and I saved a lot of points, I'm eating 1 calzone by myself, and I know my husband will too. So let me go over this again. Again, I would put them in a 375-degree oven for 20 minutes. This 1 calzone is 10 smart points. 5 smart points for the 2-ingredient dough, which is a 1/2 cup of yogurt, non-fat Greek yogurt, and a 1/2 cup of self-rising flour, plus some Italian seasonings in this dough since it's a savory meal. Then there's Italian style chicken meatballs. Those are 3 smart points for 3 meatballs. So now we're up to 8 smart points. The marinara sauce is 0. We're still at 8. And then I added 1.5 ounces of fat-free mozzarella cheese by Kraft, and that is a point. Now we're up to 9 points. And then last minute, I decided to add some shaved Parmesan on the top. It's 1/3 ounce, and that is 1 smart point. So this whole calzone for dinner tonight is 10 smart points. I have 17 left for the day, so I'm gonna eat the whole thing. So there's not going to be a recipe at the end of this video because I think it's self-explanatory measurements and what to do. You don't really need a recipe. I just went ahead and kind of winged it tonight and thought of this at the top of my head, off the top of my head. So I think that it'll be easy for you to make these at home. So again, thank you for coming to my kitchen and for following me on Instagram. Again, I am www.italianwifey on Instagram. And thank you for your support, and thank you for the motivation, because a lot of my followers motivate me and I get a lot of my ideas from them. So you guys make it a great night. Have a good weekend. Ciao.